Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stewart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And on this segment of the show, I have Katerina Fager, marriage and family therapist and divorce mediator of Therapy with Katerina Fager. And she's calling in all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Now, Katerina has a wealth of experience in the area of mental health care and will be talking to you today about communicating with your ex and co-parent well after a divorce. So, if you're a divorcing couple, you might just want to stop what you're doing, down tools, and listen in to what Katerina has to share with us today. So, with that said, welcome to the show, Katerina.
Hello, Stuart. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
You are so welcome. So, Katerina, in your own words, can you briefly describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help?
Sure, Stuart. So, as you mentioned, I am a marriage and family therapist and also a divorce mediator. And I specialize in helping couples who are experiencing challenges and difficulties as they pass through the different stages of life, which one of those stages is divorce. Couples sometimes seek therapy to help them decide whether to stay in a marriage or divorce. And when a couple decides to proceed with the divorce, they begin divorce therapy. Divorce therapy may help them to better achieve the dissolution of their marriage in a more healthy, constructive way, especially when they have children. Parents are often focused on their own feelings during divorce, and they might overlook the emotional state of their children who are also confused or feel guilt, pain, and loss. Children may feel pressured to choose the one parent or to which parent to be loyal to, and sometimes children feel as their parents' divorce is their fault. Those issues might be processed in a joint therapy session with the children.
Keeping in mind then, Katerina, that anything you share with us today is not legal advice or legal assistance, can you then briefly share one of the most common misconceptions? Now, I'm sure there are many of them that you come across on a day-to-day basis, but if you could share the most common misconception surrounding the topic of communicating with your ex and co-parent well after a divorce.
Sure. So yes, as you said, there are so many misconceptions surrounding this topic, but I would say that the most common misconception surrounding divorce and children is that after a divorce, you cannot have good communication with your ex-partner. And that goes down to the stigma attached with the divorce as something painful and sad. You know, of course, we get married if we think we are getting married only once. But if the divorce comes and we see the divorce as a fight for custody and not as a transition to a different stage of our life. So with the help of a trained therapist, you can learn how to communicate and co-parent effectively even after you divorce. In therapy, co-parents need to clarify boundaries and rules with each other and their children. And I always tell my clients, even if you don't like each other and disagree on many issues, you still have to work as a team and forget about the past for the sake of your children. It is also important to remember that you cannot change and control your ex-partner's behavior. The only behavior you can control is yours. So therefore, treat your ex with respect, and you will get respect in return. Keep your communication with your ex focused on issues related solely on your children. Don't go back and forth and start the blame game. It's over, it's done. With good co-parenting communication, there will be less chances of misunderstandings and conflict between the ex-partners, and better chance of a healthy upbringing for their children.
Now, that's some really great advice there, Katerina. So thanks for sharing with us. And based on what you just shared, then, and obviously keeping your client's confidentiality in mind, can you share an example of how you've helped someone who came to you with those challenges you just spoke about, with that misconception in mind, and how you were able to help them? What kind of transformational results you were able to gain for them?
Sure, of course. So in general, to keep a client's confidentiality, I worked with clients who they came with the intention to work on their marriage. They felt really disconnected and were trying to find a spark or the connection. Unfortunately, after many sessions and no progress, they decided to proceed with divorce. They had children, and their main concern and worry was how and who is going to tell their children about the divorce. This is like the main concern of parents. They don't know who should tell the kids. So after long talks, they made the decision to bring their children for a few sessions. And during those sessions, both parents, they took the responsibility of telling them about the separation. Some sessions, were focused on processing their children's feelings, and parents answered all of the questions their children had. In other sessions, without the children, co-parents addressed the transition for the whole family and talked about the rules in general and about their co-parenting roles. And now this is the ideal situation, and I understand that this does not happen all the time, but it is also something not totally impossible. I had clients, and they came and they could not even sit in one room together because of the anger and the resentment. But, after talking to them individually and validating their feelings, explaining that, yes, divorce is very painful and emotional for everyone, explaining to them, what their kids are going through, and that it takes, a lot of effort from both of them to forget about the past and focus on their children and their future. Communication that can got much better between them, and it's sure it's all about the awareness and the effort to do better, and have the better communication with after the divorce with each other.
In terms of the pitfalls that are out there, today's topic is communicating with your ex and co-parent following a divorce. And with that in mind, I'm sure there are many pitfalls that you come across again. But what's the most unknown and most common pitfall that you'd like to share and make our listeners be aware of today?
So I would say that the most, the unknown, I don't know if it's unknown, but parents, I think, forget very often about, is that they should be aware that their children can hear, they can see, and they can feel. Parents should avoid to talk in a bad manner about their ex-partner. They should always keep in mind that bad-mouthing your ex in front of your children is very damaging to them. So many parents do that all the time, and then they need this as a constant reminder. Even talking to a girlfriend on the phone and having kids in the other room, kids can hear you. They are very smart. They pay attention to everything. Children love both parents, and it's very hard for them to even process the divorce or to pick and choose. Some children feel guilty and feel responsible for their parents' divorce. So talking bad about their mom or dad makes it very hard on them. And parents should seek, if they know that they cannot handle, they should seek professional help, and process their own issues. Because continuing fighting or resentment between co-parents creates a negative, unhealthy environment for the children. Parents should keep in mind that they are their children's first role models, not only in social skills, but also in communication.
Okay, Katerina, we've spent a little while together right now, and I'm sure, just as I'm curious myself, I'm sure the listeners out there are a little bit curious as to who is Katerina Fager? I mean, what makes her tick? So let me ask you this then, Katerina. Imagine it's a Monday morning and it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock a.m., whatever the time may be in your corner of the world, and your alarm goes off and you have a full day's work ahead of you, speaking with clients who find themselves in this unfortunate position of being in a divorce. How does Katerina feel at the start of that day? Is this something that she's really passionate about? Just something she really looks forward to on a day-to-day basis? Just share a little bit about how you feel about that day ahead.
I love my job, and I genuinely like to help others. I do wake up every morning going really happy to be going to work. And I like to help other people which they struggle in their life. We all struggle, we so many of us experience some kind of hardship in our life, and I try to help others to move forward, if they feel stuck and they feel unhappy, and if they're unhappy in their marriage, they want to reconnect again, they want to find a spark, or they want to have better communication, because over the years of being married, you do lose the connection and the sparks, and you need to constantly take care of your relationship. So that's what I do. I generally like to, wake up in the morning. I'm grateful for everything I have in my life, and I like my job.
Excellent. So with that said then, Katerina, could you briefly tell us a little bit more about yourself, but this time in terms of your background and your education and experience as it relates to the topic of divorce and of mental health care, which you specialize in. So if you could just share a few minutes just speaking a little bit about yourself, that would be great. Thank you.
So I graduated from Northeastern Illinois University with a master's in marriage and family therapy, and I completed my divorce mediation training at Northwestern University. I enjoy working with not only adults as a therapist, but also with children and teenagers. As kids, they have so many issues, especially when their parents are getting divorced. I work to assist and support clients in utilizing their strengths and their insight into the patterns that might be keeping them unhappy and unable to move forward in their life, even after a painful divorce. I look at divorce as a stage in life. We have so many stages and in life, and divorce is one of them. And so if you were in a toxic relationship and a bad marriage, it's good to know that you don't have to stay in that situation, and you can certainly move on and be at a better place.
Okay, Katerina, we're coming towards the end of the show, and I've just got a couple more questions for you. So right now, if you could, I'd just like you to picture the kind of divorcing couples who come to you for your help. So we're talking about those people in those toxic relationships, those bad marriages that you just explained. And they're wanting to dig a little bit deeper into the topic of communicating with their ex and co-parents well after a divorce. So with that picture in mind, what final thoughts would you like to leave those divorcing couples tuning in and listening to you right now?
If you are getting divorced and you cannot, you feel you can't handle it on your own, seek professional help. Divorce is very painful and leaves people drained, and it's always beneficial either to vent to your therapist or to process your painful experiences. If you can come with your ex-partner and work on establishing communication between you two, come with your children because they need it, or talk to your children on a daily basis about their feelings and what's going on in their minds. But always remember to put your children first.
Okay, Katerina, we have come to the end of the show, but if there is somebody who wants to know more, they're out there, they've been listening to you, they're really impressed with what they've heard so far, and they want to know more about communicating much better with their ex and co-parent after a divorce. If that's the case then, Katerina, how can they connect with you? Where would they find you?
So they can connect and follow me on my Facebook blog, which is called Therapy with Katerina Fager. They can connect with me through LinkedIn. They can send me email, which is my last name at gmail.com. Or they can check a website called Couples Counseling Now.
Excellent. So, yeah, whether you're out there in heavy traffic, you're driving, be careful while you're listening to the show. Or whether you maybe you're even at work, you're working at the weekend, you're tuning in from work. You shouldn't be doing that, but we don't mind. Or whether you're listening on your cell phone, your tablet, or even your PC. Whatever the case may be, that's all we have time for today. But before we go, let me just remind you again, that was Katerina Fager. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Katerina. You have certainly demonstrated that you're a true educator and advocate for your client's success. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stewart, for having me. It was really a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine and the listeners. So thanks again, Katerina. And while we're on the topic of the listeners, I'd just like to say a big thank you to you, because without the listeners, well, we wouldn't have a show. There would be no reason for us to be here. So thank you for joining us on this, what I can only describe as a very insightful and informative conversation with one of the top marriage, family therapists and divorce mediators in the Chicago area today. So make sure to check her out. Remember, her name is Katerina Fager. Give her a call, drop her an email. You'll certainly be in good hands. So again, I'm Stewart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading divorce professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.